stretch the point, but with these student protests which are protesting against the exam leaks, and now the solution that the government is offering is to bring the Lekani in and fix the leaks, which is just one small part of the problem. It's a little technical solution they're offering. They, of course, the student protesters want, they've thought much beyond that, and they want like a complete structuring of the exams themselves, and also the educational system, because without that, what is it that we're testing? What are we teaching people? The film is not at the. I mean, it's set in IIT, so it's not to do with NEET. It's to do with JEE. But it's after people get into IIT, you struggle for all those years, and then you get in, and then you found that you've gone from the frying pan into the fire, really, because what you find in IIT is just, well, you'll see it, and then you get out of IIT, you somehow struggle, and you go through those 4 years, and you get out, and then, well, you land up in a job which is sort of making you do the same old thing all over again. So it needs a major restructuring of everything. But I see it one small part that this is kind of looking at, documenting if you like, or telling you a story about. So, well, I hope you enjoyed the film.
A very beautiful film. I really loved it.
Thanks so much.
It's amazing. You did a great job.
Can I ask you which generation are you?
I am not Gen Z. I'm 30 years old right now.
That's young enough as far as I'm concerned. So, thank you.
I'd like to commend Paras, I think one of the most charming actors I've seen.
You missed the meeting.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, when I say you're the one I'm most thanks.
I was actually missing him for a while, and suddenly I saw
Paras
him.
hasn't seen it before. Most of the others have seen it. But first time we see. They're really impossible to catch. I mean, when I went to his house, which is off any map, Google Maps catches anything at all, but Paras is not on Google Maps. Somehow we found it after many phone calls and promises. He said he'd be there, but he disappeared at the last moment. So we have to go back. And what did you think? Did you find it critical?
It's not changed at all.
It's not changed. That's
Yeah.
true.
2006 to 20 years back, but seemed exactly the same.
What is Ghana?
Yeah,
That's the
hostel.
hostel. That's the hostel in which I shot. I filmed. The whole
I
film
am
is
probably
filmed
the
there.
oldest. 1970 I joined.
Oh, wow.
Nilgiri.
Yeah. Yes.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm not from IIT, I'm from, but I'm an engineer from REC Trichy. But I could relate to every moment there. I think it's a story of any young student at the age of 6. I mean, he goes to any engineering college as a young boy and comes out a man. I think it's a story of possibly any college you could go to. It would be quite similar, if not exactly, but beautifully made. I think the narrative and everything has been super.
Yeah, he's in that.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
His classmates.
I think everyone was as confused as, but that's the age.
That somebody I
Yeah.
But the thing is that when they come out, they're essentially serving some global capital. I don't know what you did after graduating, but many of our classmates said that they either went off to the US or they worked here, went into an MBA or something. And today also, I mean, these guys are here, but they're working all in some multinational corporation, and the money is accruing to. I mean, it's not necessarily benefiting. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, so that I've heard you say before. It is a beautiful film. I just thought that for the lay audience, it would have been good to have some verbalizing of what you just said. In the sense that how the Nehruvian idea of IITs at that time, what it was meant to be,
Yeah.
it was driving the industrial growth of India, and what has happened to us, because as you say,
Post-liberalization.
now the IITs only serve global capital. I mean, either they go abroad, never come back, or they stay here and they work for global capital. So how that's that feeds back into the system is actually absent.
Yeah. So one is how it feeds back into the system, the other is what it does to the individual.
What it does to the
Yeah,
individual
because
comes through.
Paris is still running from one job to another. I asked him how he's doing, and he said, yeah. So he
That's better.
no, I agree with you. I think there's a difference in the way you and I make films where you
Yeah,
make
yeah.
it much clearer. I leave it for people to surmise. And the other reason why I did that in this particular film is that I find that I lose a very large section of the audience, which is the people who've actually gone through IIT, or people who, not even IIT, any engineering college, or people who are working in those kind of establishments. And it's not like they're just puppets in that. I mean, they're active agents of promoting a system like that. I mean, they're really smart people who game the system, so they're able to game that system besides the IIT system, besides the entrance exam system. So, but they can't. It's very hard to break out of that system. So therefore.
And the guy who becomes what you call a political,
Yeah.
the guy who is actually doing crunching numbers, analyzing data.
No, he's not touching numbers. He's creating a narrative for
Communication.
BJP.
Creating a narrative.
More
But
dangerous.
we don't get that it's
Maybe
BJP.
So I leave that. I left it only for his safety. He says in so many words. He says if Rahul Gandhi had said that, then we'd have created such a narrative. If Mr. Modi had said that, we would have created this narrative. I didn't want him to get into trouble. Quite frankly, that's the only reason why I left it out. I don't think he realized fully what it could do when it's projected. So I left that bit out. But he himself says that I don't have to say. Even this critique of these people being, I should say us, but I won't because I'm not really part of it. But it has been verbalized by some of the people who I've removed deliberately in the film. When I started showing it around, so I think it's important to get that group of people also into the conversation. Otherwise, things are not. I think things are not going to change at all. And it's like a massive change. It's like from elementary school to right up to the economy. I mean, some people will always want to go out. That's fine. Some people will, but their parents can pay for their education if that's the case. But those people who want to have, I don't know, a more wholesome sort of way to live, then and an education that's really an education, not just a technical training. I mean, today even the liberal arts, I gather, are really more for job oriented. Even as an academic, it's a job. It becomes, it's not you're not questioning yourself or society or anything in a more fundamental way. So the reason is to bring other people into the conversation. Yeah.
I found the film very heartbreaking, and I expected it to be. So, I mean, while you come in bits, and particularly at the end, and resonate with some of them, I just wanted to share that, and I also felt that because understating some things helps in terms of why children are kind of compelled to aspire to certain kind of thing, and we all know the kind of pain that they go through. I mean, what we saw in the film is probably much less than what actually happens in reality.
Yeah.
And I found it extremely disturbing personally, and
Yeah. Thank you.
I really wish that we hadn't done this to ourselves.
Yeah, and how do you break out of it? I think the student process are the first space, and therefore I think we all have to build on that. It's really important. This is a moment in our history, I feel, where we can fundamentally shake up. I hope. I mean, if they continue, and if they continue to the point where they suggest they will, which seems like to some extent just bravado. I don't know. When Neha Bora speaks, I mean, I can't believe that somebody would be saying things like that publicly, and I don't know how either they actually make it happen, or I don't know what will happen. I mean, how is she going to take that to its logical end? I have no idea.
No, but
Because
it's
the-
worth it that she's doing what she's doing.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's commendable. It's amazing, but still, what do you do with that then? And if it happens, then this is perhaps a moment in history when it might be
what
possible.
happened in last month has given us a bit of hope in middle of all this.
Right, of Of course, yeah.
For example, I'm very critical of by and large engineering education in our country because it is not at all hands-on, and it's killing.
Exactly,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
No, I completely agree. Here's an interesting nugget which I learned recently from an article by Namit Arora, who's writing about the book by Ajanta Subramaniam, that when the British introduced this engineering education into India, basically because they wanted a cadre of cheap Indian engineers to further their colonial project, they were initially introduced the same courses that they had in Britain, which was all very hands-on, because their knowledge had come from guilds and artisans and people like that. But when they came here, the caste of people they were most comfortable dealing with, Brahmins and upper caste, they didn't like using the hands. So while there it was like a hands-on kind of thing, here it became a bookish this thing. And then that translates, and like this whole NEET thing, you're testing people on an exam, right? But you're testing people who are later going to become doctors. Now, when you go to a doctor, actually the knowledge is the least thing you look for, because that you can get from ChatGPT or something. You want somebody who can look at you holistically, who can touch you, who can look at your eyes. I don't know, do 100 other things, who can empathize with you. So all of those skills are not captured in the testing at all. It's just what ChatGPT can do. You can capture that in your test, nothing more. And yeah, so this whole business of fixing the leak is just like it's not even touching the problem, I think. I mean, it does. It's certainly better than having leaks if you have a system like this. But they need to shake it up.
So I also came here to check if we could screen the film in IIT or not, because times are difficult now. And I think we can certainly do that. If you wish to come, you're most welcome, and we can perhaps organize a screening. I think it should be shown to students and faculty.
Absolutely, I was trying to do that.
What I liked very much in this movie was while Paras and others, they did go through all those ups and downs, they were confused, but at the end they were all successful. I think if the students understand that aspect, that yes, everyone goes through the same steps, but at the end the goal is you reach success in whatever way. I think it will perhaps reduce the number of such calamities.
Yeah, right now the solution to suicide is simply to put more counselors. So the assumption is there's something wrong with the student. The assumption is not that there's something wrong with the system. So structural changes to the is not ever. Maybe some small cosmetic things are done.
I wanted to ask Paras, in retrospect, if you were to decide what if you could go back and choose, would you have done this? Would you have gone through IIT or chosen something else?
In retrospect also, if I think, I am pretty happy with whatever I've been through.
So I'm actually a game developer, and so I come between like engineering and art, so I found it very relatable. So one thing which I wanted to ask you is like, did you notice a common disillusionment among people in IITs or engineering colleges in general when they dig deep into like engineering, or like basically find that it's not that big as much as I know you found these 7 sample space, but did you notice a common trend among all the people there? I found it in both liberal arts as well as in engineering space. So I want to know your opinion.
I can't say I spoke to that many people. I spoke to 18 people on camera.
So I feel the most amount of pressure that you kind of feel is by comparison. When you start comparing and you feel that some of the folks have it figured out, why have I not?
Right.
Like, what am I doing wrong? So it's not like with everyone. Maybe if you know them all really well, like how they are actually thinking, and not just making up stuff for you to feel that you don't know and I know, this kind of thing. So but that's what some of the folks tried to show, that they have it figured out, which is what at least made me very confused, started incurring self-doubt and all of that. But now, like when I look at hindsight of it and I see where everyone is, how everyone is doing, I get to that understanding that everyone was somewhere there only. No one. So yeah.
if I how is it that this country has suddenly become, the word aspiration used to be a beautiful word. Now it means, just one kind of, it means money simply. Though they say but they're all working in Google, Microsoft, and it's not, I'm not blaming them,
No, but you say as a young person, if there are no other kind of opportunities.
No, I'm not blaming them. I'm saying that a larger sort of critique of society that is desirable perhaps as a filmmaker, since you're taking so much effort, it's taken 7 years to make it or whatever, I would expect a stronger critique of us as a society in some sense.
Very critical of the kind of direction India has taken, personally, but I'm not sure if I can offer a complete critique of that in a way that would be heard and convince people, I think.
I think in the way you've been able to capture the vulnerability of all the students that you have followed, that is, I think, a very evocative way of showing us the cracks. Maybe not explaining it or analyzing it, but at least showing us the cracks. So actually seeing this film at the back of what's unfolded in the last 1 week is quite a moving experience.